Beautiful, Liv. Thank you. Oh, grout. In our multiplicity, make us one. Have you heard what the Buddhist asked of the hot dog vendor? Oh, no. Make me one with everything. And now some might think that that is the ultimate expression of belonging, to be made to feel one with everything, inside and out, through and through, loved unconditionally. You know, belonging is that feeling integrated into the whole, just as we are. But as with all good things, there's a cautionary tale to tell, a shadow side, which is that such oneness can be operationalized as assimilation. And assimilation is not so much about oneness as it is about making everything the same, homogeneous, to be made to be alike. Or put another way, oneness can serve to try to eliminate diversity. It reminds me of what is sometimes used to illustrate the difference between the US and Canada, and some of you know I'm a dual citizen. The difference is expressed in that the US thinks of itself as a melting pot, a oneness or unity formed of melting together and perhaps losing individuality. And that Canada thinks of itself as a mosaic of culture, with individual pieces retaining their distinctiveness and yet coming together as one. And that mosaic quality is what I love about the reading Molly shared and about the tree at the UU Church, the tree that the UU Church of Berkeley created. In Reverend Leifert's telling, bits and pieces of broken ceramics and jewelry and glass and stone, including such things as fragments of the Berlin Wall, a watch face, a key, all manner of things eventually belonged in that mosaic. None were made to assimilate or become to look like any other piece. They all belonged. And in their differences, they became one, each a part of the whole. So belonging is both and, right? To belong involves feeling part of the whole while able to be one's unique and authentic self. Singularity within community. Now, with all the pomp and circumstance of coming together in September, there just has not been enough time to talk about building belonging, which has been our theme for the month. And it's such a critical topic for exploring the quest to build a beloved community. How do we build belonging? How? How do we do that? How? Well, caring about how to do this matters because, you know, while a religious community is a voluntary association, and each individual's decision to take it or leave it is usually, probably, comes down to whether or not there is that felt sense of belonging, the feeling of home. And a mosaic is an apt metaphor, you know, like individuals coming into community. Consider all of the disparate pieces showing up to help create a mosaic. And now imagine that they come not to create something from nothing, but rather they each arrive at an existing community. Take, for example, this congregation, where the project is well established and has already taken on a particular shape and color over generations. So a new piece coming in the door might just as likely feel an instant synchronicity as it might feel that it sticks out like a sore thumb. If all the other pieces are fine china, a bit of stone may feel quite awkward. If most of the other pieces are in primary colors, a more nuanced or blended color may not find an obvious way to fit in. If the shape of the community is even-keeled and kind of flat, a more exuberant object may feel that fitting in would require that it constricts or limits its natural expressiveness. Can you remember what that was like for you? as you brought that piece you are to this community? Or maybe if today is your first time at FUS, do you see if there's a place for you to fit in here? And what would it take for you to belong? And who's responsible for whether or not belonging happens? Now, I've actually done quite a bit of mosaic work. This after taking a summer class some years ago at an art school in Ontario. This has involved hunting for colorful ceramic pieces at secondhand stores, breaking them into small bits, and then setting them into a design. Just this past summer, I worked with a friend who had attended that class with me, and together we created a tabletop that will take up residence on her porch. Now, this is not a precise process. One cannot control exactly how a piece will break, and each piece is a unique shape and color, and they can't be arranged in neat and predictable rows. To some extent, it is their individuality that determines the ultimate design. And it is indeed the grout that eventually holds all these different pieces together. The grout. What it is about the grout that makes a wholeness or belonging happen? As you heard, Liefert says that it happens slowly in congregations, in board meetings and committee meetings and endless emails and the mini meal and the connection circles and singing in the choir. You know, we make grout when we learn each other's names and show up to lend a hand stuffing snack bags or to weed the garden or to volunteer in the kitchen. It's a slow process, this grout-making business, but we generally quickly assess if we belong or not, and don't often wait around for the grout to set. And if I were to say what grout is made of, I would say grace, hospitality, forgiveness, flexibility, a willingness to change, open minds and hearts, curiosity, patience, a commitment to building the mosaic and an acceptance, a humility that each of us, while critical to the whole, is but one part. And here's another thing about grout. I think its very presence helps us to remain distinct individuals. The fact that there's this grout between us builds trust. I need not worry about being absorbed by you because there's grout, this grace between us. You need not feel threatened by my difference because there's grout, respect between us. We are connected by our commitments, our covenants, our mission, and still we remain individuals, singularity in beloved community. So whenever we are in the presence of diversity, we can wish that others would be just like us. Or we can choose to see difference as a contribution to a beautiful, beloved, and co-created mosaic. Once upon a time, I took a preaching class with the Reverend Dr. James Forbes, Minister Emeritus at Riverside Church in New York City. He has a particular idea of what preaching is and how a minister should preach. This is a story for another time, but suffice it to say that his ideas were challenged a bit by a classroom full of UU ministers. To his credit, he returned to the second day of class and shared that he had learned something new by being with us. He saw that preaching might be different for others, and his humility and open-mindedness was inspiring. And so it doesn't surprise me that when he was asked how he made worship work in his diverse, integrated congregation, and I think here we might substitute belonging for his words of integration, he responded in this way. A truly diverse congregation where anybody enjoys more than 75% of what's going on is not thoroughly integrated. So that if you're going to be an integrated church, you have to be prepared to think, hey, this is great. I enjoyed at least 75% of it. because 25% you should grant for somebody's precious liturgical expression that is probably odious to you. Otherwise, it is not integrating. So an integrating church is characterized by the need to be content with less than total satisfaction with everything. You have to factor in a willingness to absorb some things that are not dear to you that may be precious to some of those coming in, unquote. I guess that means that building belonging with and for others means not needing 100% satisfaction. Building belonging means being joyful when there's 25% you don't like, as it means you're allowing space for others, for difference. Building belonging means understanding and embracing the presence of difference because, well, as Dietrich wrote, he who is in love with his vision of community will destroy community, but he who loves the people around him will create community wherever he goes. Love the people around you. Even if you don't like their music, even if you don't share the same passions, even if your lived experience is different, even if they use language you don't, even if you don't get to have everything your way. Love the people around you. Building belonging takes perseverance and the ability to tolerate imperfection in others and in yourself. It means allowing your preferred vision of community to be altered by the presence of difference, whether you're already part of the established mosaic or you are a new piece wanting to become a part. It means celebrating when others find a way to belong. Hang in there and let the grout do its work. At the risk that another metaphor here may be too much, in closing, I share this poem called Jigsaw by Rabbi Lawrence Kushner. Each lifetime is the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. For some, there are more pieces. For others, the puzzle is more difficult to assemble. Some seem to be born with a nearly complete puzzle, and so it goes. Souls going this way and that, trying to assemble the myriad parts. But know this, no one has within themselves all the pieces to their puzzle, like before the days when they used to seal jigsaw puzzles in cellophane, ensuring that all the pieces were there. Everyone carries with them at least one and probably many pieces to someone else's puzzle. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. And when you present your piece, which is worthless to you, to another, whether you know it or not, you are a messenger from the Most High. Being part of a mosaic or a jigsaw puzzle is a beautiful thing. We learn, we are changed, we are completed by those around us. We are held together in all the ways that belonging matters, because we can't do it or be it alone. We need one another. So thank goodness we are not alone. We are here together, loving one another for our incredibly unique, colorful, jagged-edged, and exquisite selves, a mosaic of belonging. May it always be so.